Hey everyone, the time has come to start our garden in the year 2024. Last year, was our garden arrangement. Lots and lots of tomato plants. We put a liner in here. The liner worked very well. The weeds you see are only coming up through the holes we burned with a blowtorch. But this year we're going to try a different kind of liner. This liner will bake any little seedlings underneath, prevents anything from popping through, but it allows water to go through. It allows water to evaporate too. Right here, this is the grass that grew in the aisle right here, pretty thick. We gotta rip that up, turn it over with the hoe, grind up the ground. This was a few rows of lettuce, carrots. We did a few cucumbers. This year I want to do a lot of cucumbers, a whole bunch of tomatoes. We're not gonna plant corn in here. Last year was the coldest year we had on record ever. So the corn was underperforming, and it was also the wettest year on record. Right now we have unseasonably warm weather, now in May. Our growing season here usually doesn't start until June 1st. It is now May 15th. We have a potential of a few more weeks of frost. Last year our final freeze was May 26th, and this year I just don't think that's going to happen. And we have a friend. Look up there, look up there. It's a hummingbird. It came to visit me. Yeah, if I walk around in the garden with a bright colored shirt, you'll get swarmed by those. It's probably attracted by the yellow insulators for the electric fence. So yeah, we're gonna turn this over, and what is that? I think, is that a carrot coming up? That might be a carrot. Let me hop in, take a look at that. Is this a carrot? Yeah, just by the smell I can tell. That's a carrot. Yeah. There's another carrot there, another carrot there. Must be some leftover seeds, because there's not a carrot at the bottom of that I can tell. Or is there? Oh, there is. Wow, there's a carrot. Look at that. It actually was still growing in there. But we're going to do more carrots this year. We're not going to do all the lettuce this year, maybe a little bit. Corn, I was thinking doing in a different part of the yard without the electric fence protection, but anything we grow has to have slug pellets. There's just so many slugs. Without controlling them, they're everywhere. They just keep coming out of the woods by the thousands, and that's not even an exaggeration. They'll mow down anything you plant if you're away, unable to put down slug pellets. So I'm going to turn this all over with the hoe, and this year we're going to use a different type of garden liner, one that's not permeable at all. We'll water this thing a whole ton, put down the new liner, trapping the moisture, and we're going to make it so the non-permeable liner acts like little ramps, and it goes into each individual hole. But that means on hot days, the water evaporates. The condensation underneath the liner just keeps it going. It can't evaporate. Other people I know have had success with that, so we're going to try that this year. We'll rip up this old liner and throw it out. These tomato cages are way too close together. I originally thought we were going to have little aisles. These things get so huge you can't walk in there. So we're going to remove every other row and have a big area like that. This year we're not going to use marigolds. Marigolds are a natural insecticide. It keeps away insects. It keeps away the tomato hornworm. But one thing it attracts, which is not an insect, it's a mollusk, is the slug. They love eating marigolds. That'll actually attract them to your garden, but it does work for other pests. Alright everyone, it's been about 2 days. I took a break in the garden, put down a bunch of vinegar around the edge. Certain kinds of grass, it probably won't completely kill them, but we'll have to use an herbicide for those ones because around here, if it touches the electric fence, it'll short it out. That's not yet going. Oh, that's actually the first tick of the year I've seen on this property. First tick of the year. Hopefully the turkeys and stuff will come through soon because they're the ones who will pick them all off. But I have not had a tick on me all year. So inside the garden, also went around with vinegar. Some of it, certain plants it really kills, other ones it doesn't. I always go around with the vinegar first, then we'll go around with an actual herbicide afterwards so we don't have to use as much of the chemical. Although the herbicide, it says it only stays in the environment for about 6 days maximum. Then we can plant, doesn't infect the groundwater. So over here you can see we have a lot of pollen. Rained a little bit. You can see all the pollen. Waited about 2 days. So I think I'm gonna actually remove these logs, fold it back up, and I want to dig 2 trenches here, put the liner back down. That way the water will be directed into the trenches and we'll plant the tomato plants in the little trenches. That way when it rains, it'll go over into those holes, water underneath here. But because this is a non-permeable liner, this is literally a vapor barrier for concrete. That means it won't evaporate. The soil will always stay moist under the ground. It's well-drained soil, although sometimes if it rains a lot, the water table gets so high that there's puddles that just won't go away here. Strawberry plant, second year of that. I waited because it got kind of hot. It's the middle of May. The other day it hit almost 80 degrees. Today was 83 degrees. Tomorrow's supposed to be drizzly and rainy. So tonight, while it's nice and cool, going into the evening hours, I'll work with a headlamp, probably need some bug spray. I would like to go ahead and make these trenches. Just got to move the logs now that it's nice and cool. I'm going to make trenches, put the liner back down, put the logs back, make holes where I want. Not doing nearly as many tomatoes, like I said. Now over here, I'm thinking maybe I'll use the liner, maybe I won't. You see there's already some little ditches from last year. I have to go ahead and fix those a little bit. Then we'll plant some seeds. Then we'll put some good soil over those seeds. Well, maybe I'll use the liner, but I'm gonna have to cut entire slits here because I'm gonna grow some lettuce and stuff. We'll see how it goes. I might change my plans as I go along. That's usually the best way to do things. See what works out as you go along. Today was a really hot day, so I spent today painting underneath the truck with a metal grinding brush and spray painting the entire frame. Underneath, it doesn't matter over spray or anything, but it really helps prevent rust. I noticed Rust-Oleum Professional works way better than the factory paint Toyota uses. The factory paint chips off so easy when you're driving off-road, rocks flicking up like a sandblasting, but once you do it once to your truck, the following year it's never as bad, it seems. It seems like Rust-Oleum holds up better than whatever they're using. And I don't use undercoating because that's actually a sound dampener. Don't use that to prevent rust. In fact, when that starts cracking and letting stuff in, it'll trap things like moisture and road salt and actually make it worse. I've also thought about using the oil treatment, but I don't want to do that. I'd rather it be more neat with the paint instead of covering the whole undercarriage in oil. All right, everyone, we're all planted for today. I will be planting more another time. Now I have to put this down. If I don't put this down, everything I planted there will be dead in a matter of a day or two. And it's not even a joke. We have a slug army. It comes out of these woods. It's very swampy. Now that the sun's starting to come down, we're starting to notice a lot of slugs. So I sprinkle this around the fence about once a week. And the slug problem's bad. Sometimes you gotta put it more than once a week. I go through a bag of this probably every other week in the summertime. The slugs will just keep coming and coming because of the forest. And people tell me to use copper, but now thinking back, years ago I made a slug electric fence video. The slug crossed over the first wire, didn't hesitate one bit. When it touched the second one, it turned around because it got a little shock. It was an electric fence that was running on, I think, only 6 volts or something, because I was keeping them in a big tank, raising them for food. But that was just a video of a concept of what I was doing. So this year we don't have nearly as many. Last year we had 30 tomato plants. Now we have 10. Those rows are all tomatoes. These 4 are pepper plants. I put the cage around them just for something for them to get gripped on. I didn't have many of the small cages, but it's okay. Peppers don't get that big, but they might need support. Put one around the strawberry plant just so it doesn't get stepped on. Also, these cages confuse birds. If there's tons of them around, birds will hesitate to land in here when they see lots of wires and stuff going around. We'll get the electric fence going sometime this week. So over here, I cut these slits in these trenches with a little slit there, so we can just simply fold them under like that, creating small gaps like that all along. This is going to be iceberg and romaine lettuce, carrots, and I think there was something else I got for seeds. So this trench right here is going to remain open because we ran out of liner. I folded it over a little, but it only makes its way halfway into the trench. Right here are cucumber plants. This year I decided the things that take a little bit longer to grow, I just bought them from the store. But things like lettuce and carrots grow very fast, so I'm going to be planting those. For the first time ever, we're going to try planting eggplant to see if that works. I'll probably make another hole with a squash, another one with a zucchini. And you see all these little puddles here? The cool thing about this liner is any low spot in these trenches, you can come out here with a mallet or even your fist and make sure all these little puddles drain into the plants. So every time it rains, all this surface area here is going to go into these plants. And because this is a vapor barrier, it'll keep tons of moisture. When I dug into these little trenches here, it's more shallow, more junk soil, lots of sand and stuff. But I put many tons of cow manure and good potting soil in here the other year. But that's still in here. These roots will reach up inside of all this stuff when they get bigger. So what kind of tomatoes did I buy? These ones are slicer tomatoes. This one is beefsteak tomato. And once again, these little puddles can be pounded. All this stuff can be, you can use like a mallet so it doesn't break the liner, just to make little channels leading to the plants. Paste tomato, beefsteak tomato, another paste tomato. And strawberry plants do spread. I will probably open this area up a little bit more as time goes on. Small fruited tomato. And these 3 are all the same. These 2 are sweet pepper plants. Another sweet pepper plant right here. The last tomato plant is a lemon tomato. They should be yellow. Maybe next year I'll try black tomatoes. I saw those at the store. Never done those ones before. And the last of this is a chili red pepper and jalapeno pepper plants. Okay, so before I put the slug pellets down, I'm gonna run this sprinkler in here for like a half an hour. Later in the week, I'll plant the seeds. Wow, the sprinkler. Look at that. It's reaching all the way over to the wood pile. Watch this. And it's going very fast. Watch how far this thing reaches. Wow. If this garden was twice or even more than twice as big, the sprinkler would still get it. Last year, the sprinkler sometimes barely got into the corners of just this garden. If anyone saw that hose modification video I made, it really helped out. A 3/4 inch valve bypassing the house's filter instead of a 1/2 inch pipe. The volume of water coming out here is increased by so much, but I'm gonna turn it down. I just wanted to see how fast this would actually go. And that's why I made the modification. And this thing will be on a sprinkler timer in the summer months in case I'm not home. Probably cut them on every day for like 20 minutes in the evening. Yep, because I did that last year, had gardens, lots of frog hatcheries. We were using thousands of gallons of water more than usual, probably every week, and it clogged up the filter a lot in the basement. Now, this is unfiltered water coming from the well. Still very clean. The filter doesn't get anything like bacteria out, just the sediment. But the sediment will clog it up if you use this amount of water all the time. All right, everyone. Just gave it a good watering. We'll do it again every day since there's ceilings. Now around the edge, got to sprinkle these slug pellets all around, and I'll toss them around in there around the tomatoes. So it looks like little pieces of noodle. Supposedly other creatures can eat this, and it only affects slugs and snails. It's a certain chemical that makes them just not ever want to eat again. Anyways, I'll do update videos of this occasionally on my food channel. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day. The food channel is New England Wildlife and More. If anyone didn't know, I have that second channel, and I have a third channel called Post 10 Vlogs and Extras. Videos that just aren't as great I put there, and just videos of me talking about things I'm doing, stuff like that. Thanks for watching. Over here in one of my junk areas, look at this. We have wild blueberries already starting to grow. No signs of the ones budding on the larger plants. The grass is starting to grow in. This is the overburden from that pond we built. Just filled little sinkholes around the yard with it. And another big issue for the garden is, oh, this is a blackberry plant. I love that. That'll start growing back soon. Another big issue for the garden is, there's a woodchuck living under my shed. Trying to catch it with these pieces of apple, which have been in here for 2 days, and there's a slug eating it. I tried peanut butter, that didn't work. Now we're trying various types of vegetables, but not working. This is its hole right over here. Nope, not interested. We gotta try other types of food. If we don't, that's how woodchucks are. They'll go in the garden, dig under the electric fence, and they'll chew down all the seedlings for no reason. That happened in my dad's yard once. Chopped down every plant and didn't even eat the plants. That's what they do. So we're gonna try to relocate it when we catch it. Accidentally didn't set the trap off at night the other day and caught a raccoon. And the raccoon, I let it go immediately. I like the raccoons. I remember there was one raccoon, I got the same one every single night. And raccoons are smart animals. I think it knew it was just gonna get released. It just wanted the food. Look at all these teeny little flowers. That looks so nice. Look at that. It's pretty. On the sidewalk in the back of my house, I got these things here, which I found in a box of free stuff on the side of the road. Those really cool glass stacked windows. Right here's a small thyme plant. I put it in this smaller pot so it can be brought in the house for the winter. Hostas are coming up nice. Over here is a tomato plant. It's another lemon tomato plant. Also, that giant tomato plant that I kept inside over the winter is now back outside and thriving. Didn't even get shocked by the sun. I was amazed. Hostas coming up, catnip coming up, probably will flower soon. Japanese maple's doing good. The pond is doing good. The tadpoles are now big enough that they're starting to eat goldfish food. We have a tiny little frog there. And is he still there? Nope. There's a really big frog somewhere. Somewhere. Don't know where it is at the moment. But that hose right there is on a sprinkler timer. It comes on for 3 hours every 3 days to give the pond a flush. It's on about medium flow. There's the spillway just to circulate the water because the amount of tadpoles, it'll get polluted otherwise. Air compressor's working. That's a battery backup system. The smaller pump is already off. The bigger pump runs in the full sun. Nice system. This hosta's starting to grow in. It should hide all that soon with just a little bit of cattails coming out of the center of it. Yeah, I don't know where the big... Oh, there's the big frog right there. And they love these mossy logs I put in here. And now that the grass is starting to grow in, it'll start draping and you won't even be able to tell it's this plastic bowl for horses to drink out of. Working nice. I'll start doing more and more tadpole update videos now that they're actually starting to eat. When you first throw goldfish food in there, they don't recognize you throwing stuff as food. They don't go near it. But after a couple weeks of doing that, now half of them or so are starting to come up and get it. Give it another week, they'll all come up. Then we'll start buying cool things like watermelon, throwing that in here and making videos of that kind of stuff. That'll be kind of awesome. Here's more frog ponds that I stocked. This one, we're gonna have to flush out a little bit. It's getting murky. There's actually hundreds of tadpoles in this one. And right here, it's a little overflow with a filter so they don't come out when I put the hose in there. Same with the other one. This one, something ate them all, just like last year. We won't stock this one again. I think birds can just see in there too easily. That one's black, so you can't really see in there too easily. This one, birds all ate them again. Maybe tomorrow, the rest of these whiskey barrels I planted last year, I'm gonna weed them. And I'm gonna put some annual flowers in here. Got some tulips coming up, that's a perennial. Look, the moon is starting to come out and the trees are almost full. My other frog pond. And yes, these cattails, I purposely don't root them in the bottom because this stuff floating, the frogs love that. Oh my gosh, look at the amount of tadpoles. Look at all the hungry little mouths. Yeah, we'll totally be doing watermelon next week. We'll be buying 1 or 2 watermelons and throwing them in the ponds. They love that. If you haven't seen it, check out last year's video of that. They'll literally come up and consume this one pond alone, half a watermelon in a couple hours. It's so cool, the feeding frenzy. These ones are more developed because this pond is smaller and it's full sun, meaning the water is nice and warm. Warm water, they develop faster. That other pond's full sun, but it's deeper. Now let's visit a pond that's mostly shade. Oh, my actual tomato bushes, like farm bushes, not wild ones, they're starting to actually bloom. But they're dying out for some reason. I don't know why. Every year there's less and less foliage. But they produce a lot. And here was a black raspberry plant which died over the winter. I'll weed that and put something else. Rhubarb survived the winter, is doing pretty well. Look at that. And over here, last year was a tomato plant. Don't think I'm going to do it again this year. I'm hoping this cactus survives. My mom has a lot of that stuff and it survives the winter. Don't know if it's going to survive in Maine. It looks like it's still viable. That's a cactus that can survive the winter. We'll see. Last year, this area was a garden where we didn't use any insecticides or anything. Yeah, you can guess what happened with the slugs and other things. So, we're not going to grow here this year. We'll just let this stuff take over. Mint, it's invasive. We'll just let this be a mint garden. It gets so tall, it'll probably shade out the grass. And here we are at the big pond. Look at the amount of mosquitoes swarming over the top. I hope they lay eggs because the larvae will be fish food and tadpole food. Tadpoles are a bit carnivorous. They'll love that. That's why these ponds I have everywhere, they're not mosquito breeding grounds. Also, we have water skimmers on the surface. They love eating mosquitoes, and they'll even kill mosquitoes just because they're territorial. Right there, we have brand new frog eggs. I believe that's from the green frogs. They lay them a little bit later in the year. While those other ones, are wood frogs, all that tadpoles you saw, they lay their eggs when it's still cold enough that it could ice over again. This year, they laid eggs, it iced over. Any eggs near the surface froze and died. Yeah, look how small the tadpoles are in this pond. They're not developing very fast, but now that the weather's starting to get much warmer, this pond will start becoming warmer and they'll do pretty well. All right. I planted a single cedar tree here and the deer took a bunch of bites out of it. Right here we got some daffodils coming up. And an earwig. It's earwig season. Those things will come in the house and they'll even get into bags of chips you have rolled up. Have to set some traps for them. And you see all these tiny little white flowers? Strawberries everywhere. I don't mow this area. This is the septic field of my house. It's nothing but strawberries. This right here is a raspberry patch. I planted chives, and chives and onions are immune to the slugs. The slugs won't go near it, but planted these yesterday. Somebody was digging in here. Who do you think was digging in here? I think it's a vole, based on these tunnels. Maybe, I don't know. So that was my raspberry patch. This is all black raspberry, this entire area. That plant I showed you earlier, that was my only blackberry plant in the yard. I love those, but don't seem to have that many. Those are also daylilies. It's swampy enough right there that there's even some, if you zoom in, water irises that'll be flowering beautifully soon. The property has a lot of dandelions, and they're all closing right now for the night. All closed up. But as soon as the sun hits them in the morning, they open up. It's really cool. Maybe I should put a time-lapse camera out here the next time I'm up early in the morning. For some reason, they're not as invasive up north. Like, I have so many of them here. Well, they're invasive for that reason, but they don't seem to kill whatever type of grass I have. The grass outcompetes it for some reason. It wasn't like that when I used to live a couple 100 miles south. My lilac bush, it's about to bloom. This is a white plant. And when it comes to lilacs, white ones and the typical purple ones and the blue ones, they're all exactly the same plant, but what determines the color? It's underneath a blue spruce tree, very acidic evergreen tree. As it drops its needles, it brings the acidity of the soil way, way down, and the plant turns white. If you put lime around this bush, or something that brings the pH of the soil up, it will turn it purple or blue. They turn those colors with alkaline soil. But never put lime or anything that brings the pH up in your yard if you care about your evergreen trees. It will kill the evergreen tree if you put lime around it. They need acidic soil. Most of my property is evergreen, so that means very, very acidic soil. That might be changing eventually. All the evergreens seem sick and they're slowly being taken over by maple, birch, and aspen. But for the time being, it's mostly them, very acidic soil. But things like tomatoes, they love acidic soil. A lot of plants in your garden actually will prefer the acidic soil. Most vegetables, I should say anyways. I hope today's video was interesting, everybody. Thanks for watching. And have a great day. I know it's one of those videos I just keep adding on more and more. I gotta clean out the drinking bowl. I haven't seen the bear all year. It's been a wet year. Last year was the wettest year on record. The bear doesn't come around on wet years. Only dry years because it's struggling to find food in the woods because no berries, nothing's growing for it. So the bears and animals leave the trash alone. Which is a good thing because I can keep putting food out, I can keep the bird feeders out, but the first time I see the bear, all that stuff has to be put down and I have to put ammonia in each garbage bag. That'll keep the bear away from it. All right, time to clean out this bowl. I dump it out, scrub it out with my hand, and fill it back up with this well. There's so many baby tadpoles. You can literally hear their mouths snapping at the food. And some frogs, which are probably filling up on the tadpoles. Hey everyone, here's what's coming out of my garden hose. Maybe about a foot in front of me or so. Not too much. This is going through a faucet with a 1/2 inch diameter. So I'm gonna upgrade it to a 3/4 inch, and we're also gonna bypass the filter on the well. This pipe's coming from the underground well, right from the pressure tank. I have a boiler valve. We get so much pressure out of this, so I decided, instead of it going through this filter and going to my regular hose faucet, I put a T, goes up here, and I put another boiler valve outside. It increases capacity by so much, and boiler valves are not freeze-proof, so you unscrew this, go outside, put your mouth on it, blow it out, and it won't freeze in the winter. Wow, can you see that? It's literally going 8 feet away from me. That's how powerful the water pressure is with a 3/4 inch. That really increases the volume and the pressure too, because it doesn't have to go through the well filter anymore. Hey everyone, so I found these glass brick windows on the side of the road for free in a box, and some people call it stacked glass, but they kind of look nice in the garden. There's another one right there, and kind of curious. This is kind of heavy. I'd say that glass is probably maybe 1/4 inch thick, maybe a little bit more. Will it float? Let's see. Got some tadpoles coming up to the surface right now to get some food. Will this float? Hey, it actually floats. That is super cool. I bet frogs will sit on these. It's like a gigantic ice cube. Look at that. It looks like a big floating ice cube. That's kind of cool. We'll leave one of them floating in here. That's awesome. And there's our biggest frog. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a great day.